Hey guys, my name is Shai and this is Evermind Astro. This video is about emotional processing for natal moons in Aquarius. And this might also resonate if you've got your moon in the 11th house or if you have Uranus somehow involved here, okay? So this is an interesting one. I really like the vibe of Aquarius moon, and it is actually probably one of the harder ones to understand. I mean, for those of you who have this moon, you probably have an understanding of what that means for you, but for the rest of us, it's harder to kind of grasp what this means. And I think it's important when we're talking about Aquarian energy that we don't lean too much on looking at people who have their sun in Aquarius, right? All of those Aquarian suns, that is, of course, an important manifestation of Aquarius energy, but it doesn't really tell us that much about how the Aquarian energy manifests with other placements, right? Because with your sun in Aquarius, some suns in Aquarius can be very, very, very eccentric and individualistic, right? It can be very individualistic when your sun is in Aquarius. But that is not really the vibe for other Aquarius placements. So with moon in Aquarius, this is a big, big, big emphasis on the collective. And beyond just the collective, it's about collectives, okay? That's a better way of putting this. Collectives, about how things are connected. Your inner space with your moon in Aquarius, you have an entire constellation inside of your inner space, right? Inside of your mind. And this is an interesting one, like all of the air moons, it's a little interesting to have your moon in Aquarius, your moon in an air sign, because there's always this blending of mind and emotions, of your mental body and your emotional body and your thoughts and your feelings. It blends it together. Where, you share that with moon in Libra and moon in Gemini, where you don't necessarily have as distinct of an understanding about like how your mental body and your emotional body are separate, because with the air moons it all kind of weaves together, right? To an extent. So just keeping that in mind. So that's why I say your moon in Aquarius, you are the entire universe, right? The entire universe is like a constellation of stars inside of your own mind. Even though we're talking about the moon, and that means we're talking about your emotions and your inner space, your inner sanctum, the mind comes online here because we're talking about Aquarius. So that is my best visual for moon in Aquarius. You have an entire constellation inside of your mind. And really, it can feel like having the entire universe inside of your mind, because it's how everything is connected. It is everything. It is all of these infinite points of light, and they all exist inside of your own mind. And some of you might actually feel that your inner space is quite chaotic. Even though like Aquarius isn't really a chaotic energy per se, it's fixed air energy, it can be quite idiosyncratic and unusual, but it is fixed, right? It is fixed. So it means it doesn't really like to shift and change. It likes to maintain and stay the same, right? It likes to maintain and stay the same in its uniqueness. So think about a snowflake, right? Think about a snowflake, but then also think about the snowstorm with all of the snowflakes. So you have the individual special snowflake, and that is more of the Aquarian sun energy, where you are the special snowflake. And then with the Aquarius moon, there's going to be an emphasis on, yes, the special snowflake, the one special snowflake, but more to the point, the entire snowstorm of all of the millions and millions and millions of special snowflakes, and then all of the individual ice crystals in every single one of those snowflakes if you zoom right in on them. So with Aquarius moon, you have this capacity to zoom in and zoom out. You can zoom in on the tiniest detail on the individual snowflake, and you can zoom out and you can see all of the the snowflakes in the entire snowstorm. You can zoom in on one individual human, or you can zoom out and tune into the entire human collective. You can zoom in on one individual star in the sky, or you can zoom out and understand the entire universe is this weaving, swirling, gyrating, spinning mass of stars that form, you know, star clusters and galaxies and supergalactic clusters and all of the mega structures in the universe. And it's like 800 billion galaxies in this universe that makes up the universe. And then outside of the universe, there's the multiverse, and outside of the multiverse, you get the picture, right? This is what Aquarius moon is tuning into. So you're kind of, and this is all inside of you, right? This is inside of your inner sanctum, inside of your inner space. So I've actually known quite a few Aquarius moons, and it's not uncommon for Aquarius moons to have, for example, they might be diagnosed with ADHD, and it's not that Aquarius moon causes ADHD. I don't think that any astrological placements cause like any kind of experience like that, right? It's just that there is a kind of correlation for some people in that experience, and that's just something I have noticed, okay? It's definitely not going to be for everybody, and even if an Aquarius moon doesn't actually have diagnosable ADHD, they might sometimes kind of feel like it, right? Because the way the mind and the emotions in the inner space, there's so much going on in there, and it's how to know what to focus on, right? How to know what to focus on. That's an important thing for Aquarius moon, how to know what to focus on. And that actually leads me to the main point here, which is meant to be about your emotional processing. How are you going to process your emotions? And so of course, this is an air sign moon, so there's probably some potential, especially if, like, I mean, this might not be true if you have a ton of water in your chart. If you're like a super watery person, then, you know, this might not resonate for you, right? But if you don't have a lot of water in your chart, if water's not emphasized for you, and if you tend to be more of a thinker rather than a feeler, this will probably hit home for you, where you tend to intellectualize your emotions and you think about your feelings, constantly thinking about how you feel, and you'll think before you feel, right? Thinking before you feel. So this capacity to think about your inner space and to think about your emotions and your feelings, it is very important, because this is actually the main thing that separates you from becoming the next moon, which is the Pisces moon, right? That's when the Pisces moon has acquired so many emotions that it becomes impossible to think about it. I mean, not that Pisces moons can't think about their emotions. That's not what I mean to say, because of course they do. All humans do, right? All humans do, no matter what your placements are. But a Pisces moon would be doing it in a different way, right? It's a different experience. But the Aquarius moon, you are more directly, more actively, more naturally, and more instinctively analyzing and thinking about your emotions. And in terms of how you are analyzing them, it's going to be about, like, the big emphasis is going to be about understanding all of the connections, understanding how all of this is connected, right? And when you experience an emotion, you're going to want to think, like, what is that connected to, right? Where did that come from? What's it connected to? And you might really find yourself breaking out of the cause effect type of situation, right? And just thinking about the web of your emotions and your thoughts, right? I bet some of you are really into making like mind webs, right? Or some people do on their wall, they peg up a bunch of thumbtacks and then use the string to connect ideas, because that's what it's like in your mind. It's like a spider web, connect the dots, right? It's a web work inside of your mind, and it's your thoughts and your feelings, and you have all of these feelings, and you have all of these memories and all of these experiences and all of these things that happened, and of course all of the philosophical ideas, all of the spiritual ideas. Aquarius moon can be quite spiritual, which might surprise some people, because of course it can be kind of cold and analytical, but that might be a space that you're in only some of the time, right? Sometimes your Aquarius moon might come out to save you and kind of cut you off from your emotions and put you into an analytical, logical type of space. That can be very helpful and beneficial, but you know, you can't go on your whole life like that. Eventually your emotional experience will catch up with you, and then you want to use this Aquarian way of connecting all of the dots, of connecting everything. And that is going to become very important to you, understanding all of the connections. And if you're listening to this, you must have at least some interest in spirituality, right? Most people don't. I don't really know anyone who separates astrology from their spirituality, right? So it's going to be really particular to you and your spiritual or philosophical or metaphysical or mystical understanding of consciousness and your mystical understanding of the universe and how all of this works. And you're going to be cross-connecting in a massive wild web work all of these different things. And they could be things that don't even seem related, right? It can be some memory from childhood, something that happened yesterday, some feeling you're having, something that's just been nagging you in the back of your mind, some book you read 10 years ago, something you just saw on the news, something your friend was talking about, and then of course all of the like higher philosophical systems, higher schools of thought, spiritual teachings, stuff that you might be perceiving psychically or intuitively about what is going on out there in the universe, up there in the higher realms, in the higher echelons of consciousness, right? And it's like all of this stuff, you're going to have this webbing, okay, this webbing of how this all goes together. And it feels like to me, in the way that you create these web works of knowledge, creating the web work of knowledge, and that allows you to come into understanding, that is actually a very important part of how you process your emotions, right? Of how you process your emotions. Because with Aquarius moon, you might not necessarily release your emotions in a very like naturally consistent type of way. Like a moon in Cancer probably can shed tears quite easily and quite frequently, and that can be very healthy for a moon in Cancer because that's how they can release their emotions on a daily basis, right? By crying. Aquarius moon, you might not cry. I mean, unless you happen to have some other really water emphasized elements going on, right? You might not cry that easily or that frequently, and that means that, the tears might come when it's kind of hitting critical mass. So you can actually help yourself work through your emotions and understand your emotions and process everything that's going on, all of that lightning, all of that light, all of those connections, all of those thoughts and ideas and data and downloads and this and that, everything that's going on in your inner space. You want to be almost like constantly, maybe not constantly, right? But consistently, right? You want to be consistently tending to your inner landscape, consistently tending to your inner landscape by going inside of yourself and thinking about how you're feeling, doing that check-in, and then thinking about how that's connected to everything else, making your mind web, right? Tending to your garden, but it's not so much like a garden of vegetables, it's more like a garden of light, okay? Moon and Aquarius, your inner landscape is a garden of light, and you need to be the gardener, tending to it, right? Straightening out those stars, connecting all of those dots, making sure that galaxy over there is spinning properly. It's like you are the god of your own mind. You are the god of your own mind, or the gardener of your own mind. You have to tend to it. Tend to the garden of light that is inside of you, and tend to it consistently. Tend to it consistently, both in how you explore and gain deeper levels of understanding about what you can perceive inside of your own mind, inside of your own self, right? Really getting used to that inner self-perception and coming into that self-awareness, which can be challenging because you have so much going on in there, right? Aquarius moon, you guys have so much going on in your mind, and it is so complex, and it's pretty next level, honestly. So you got so much going on in there that sometimes you might feel like no one could ever possibly understand what it looks like inside of your head, because how could anybody understand this? How could anybody see this? How can I even explain this to anybody, right? And you might sometimes be able to express yourself, but other times it's going to be like that feeling of no one's ever going to get this, right? No one's ever going to get this. But, so that's a little bit of a different story about how you could work on expressing that. And it's, probably going to be a big emphasis on abstract styles of communication. And that's why I think Aquarius moons are likely to be interested in philosophy or academics or spirituality, any kind of thing like that, that allows them to work within a kind of abstract framework. But, you know, that will be for some and not for others. So there is so many beautiful crystalline snowflakes or particles of light or fractals of data spinning around inside of your mind, like an entire universe inside of your mind. And you are the god of the universe inside of your head. You are the gardener of your garden of light. And the main thing to maintain a healthy emotional body and a healthy inner sanctum as an Aquarius moon is to consistently tend to that garden of light inside of yourself. So I'm going to leave you guys there. I got lots of links down below if you want to check me out, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.